Not too out of tune.
Hey, thanks for warming us up, Jesse.
Anytime.
Yes.
Fingers crossed on the dulcet tones tonight. We finally got my voice back after all the wildfire smoke that's been hanging around. So,
well, it's wonderful to have you here, and we're going to go ahead and kick off the show since we've got some people with us live here. Hello, friends. I know Jesse packs an audience always, so it's great to have everybody here. Welcome to episode 19 of the full Dashclosure Audiobook and Podcast. My name is Jeff Thomas Black. I write stuff, and I also do this podcast, and I'm a huge music fan. I'm also a huge fan of words, and there's a guy who throws words and music together in a way that is pretty unique for any time, and certainly for these days. I'd say he's kind of a new breed of protest music that I truly appreciate. And funny enough, I'm going to tell you how I met Jesse, because the first song that he plays for us is going to be the song that I first heard of his. So he has a song called Powerless, which he's going to play. That's off of an album called The Grift. And we just had the 1-year anniversary of Jesse releasing The Grift. It's a great album. Congratulations, Jesse.
Thank you.
And when I listened to this song virtually knocked me out of my chair. It said, they'll kindly pay you by the hour for a minute or so. They'll gladly pay you by the hour for a minute or so. And I thought, wow, if that's not a musical phrase that describes the entirety the world's gig economy, I don't know what it is, because the gig economy fractionalizes human beings and pays them by the minute, and then considers them free excess slavery on the side when they're not being used by the minute. So I thought Jesse's song was really profound, and Jesse went on another show and played it, and he actually said, hey, this guy wrote me today and he liked my quote. It just made my day. And so Jesse and I have been fast friends for the last year as he continued to pump out music, and I continued to pump out whatever I pump out. So welcome, Jesse. And I'm going to give you a chance to introduce yourself, and then I'll let you go into Powerless.
All right.
And sing us my song here.
Find my pick here. Okay. So
who is Jesse Jett? Obviously, you're a musician, recording artist, and some labels call you a spoken word artist. Labels don't really matter to me.
What's really interesting, someone showed me the other day that if you search me on Google, it classifies me as comedy, spoken word, other. I'm like, you know what? I'll take comedy. I don't see a lot of comedy.
I'm a big gallows humor guy. So yeah, you're dark comedy.
Not that I don't try to have some dark comedy, but it's nice that they picked up on that. You know, I'm in my Tom Lehrer arc. So I've been a musician my whole life.
Yeah.
I started playing out in bars and clubs, doing originals and covers at about 14. It wasn't until 2020 that I really did anything with the political writings that I had, other than just kind of bust them out at gigs that were slow. You know, I had written plenty politically, but not like exclusively. Really, 2020 quarantine and getting laid off of my job. I knew I had a job to come back to. I didn't know how long it was going to be, and I was lucky enough to be able to get on unemployment. So I was like, well, what better time than now to write about everything that's going on and start home recording, you know, out of necessity. I still do everything on GarageBand. Those first few albums was a little Shure mic that can plug into an iPhone and my iPhone in my car. And that's what I did. Everything up until the Grift. Grift was the first thing that I recorded right here on an iPad and a slightly better mic. But I wouldn't trade that setup for the world. I can take that and record a sample anywhere of anything, any ambient sounds I want to use, shouts at protests and stuff like that. It's just really nice to be able to get. But yeah, once I found Twitter and started sharing the couple things I had written with kind of politically like-minded people and people that were just as fed up as I was really overwhelmed to see what a positive response there was and how many other people were right there with me, so it was the most satisfying experience I've had as a musician or artist my whole life. Really, these last couple of years, the recognition that I've gotten from little music groups and a couple nods on some like top 10 lists from publications that focus on political music, that means the world. It really does. It's been very surreal to get that kind of feedback, and from people like you, that reach out, that know what we're up against, and can connect with my lyrics. It's the most incredible, fulfilling, humbling thing I could have ever experienced. So it's still surreal to be doing this, but it's an absolute joy. Subject matter aside, I think Google knows me that I try to find the comedy in everything.
So you still have a day job, correct?
I do, yeah.
And
yep.
I think
I drive a forklift.
Very hard for the man, right?
I drive.
What's the rest of your life look like, as much as you feel comfortable sharing?
I mean, I drive a forklift about 40 hours a week, and my wife and I have a son who's close to 7, so a lot of my evening time is Mario and water balloons and Pokemon and just the joys of being a dad. And I have quite a few songs where I talk about staring down, the future that we're looking at and raising a child, and those kind of moments of like, how honest do I want to be and how soon with him about how the world really is, and kind of how better off am I for what I know. If I had it all to do over again, if I could flip that switch off, would I, as my friend Misty likes to say, once you know, you can't unknow, that's very true. I think everyone, you hit that point where all of a sudden it's like, boy, wish I could forget some of that stuff, but it's just not going anywhere,
That's right. So when you're sharing your music with your son, and obviously that changes your life, just to look at the fact that even beyond you, there's going to be somebody else that you care about in this world, probably much more than yourself. And for me, I have adult children, but that's still a very great concern, because they're younger adult children, and I'd love them to live their long natural lifespan. It's a very scary time right now with the type of music that you write. How do you play that around your son, or how do you kind of, what part of that do you share with them? Because it's an interesting subject matter. I can say, my adult kids still probably can't handle most of my writing. Our kids are not supposed to like what we do, right? So this is all good. This is all good. But
it's so delicate, and as he gets older, if anything, there are an awful lot of lines where I think he'll be able to tell, if he ever chooses to go back and listen, where I'm kind of talking to him. That it kind of could be to anyone for the listener, but some of those moments of like, this is how it is, I tend to preface with saying honey. And it works because it's kind of a double edge. If you want it to be you being kind of patronizing to someone who doesn't get it, starting it off with honey works. If you're talking to your kids, starting off with honey works. So there are a few little moments that I think he'll recognize later on when he's ready. There are some times that he'll hear me singing something or working on something, and he'll show some interest. And I've explained a few basic concepts to him, more than like, here's my song. Like, I'm writing a song right now that's about medical costs and how ludicrous they are. And for a kid that's 6, it's so basic. It was one day he said, well, it doesn't make sense that they would make things so expensive that are the things you need just to live. See, you get it. There you go. You know, there are very basic things like that. Those kind of human necessity things that make so much sense to a kid. And there are times too that he's been like, Dad, what's the government or what's or whatever? And I'll look at my wife. I'll be like, honey, do you want to take this one? maybe when he's a little older, we'll do round 2 with me. But maybe you kick him off, you know. But it's a case by case basis for sure, song by song. It's also hard because the songs that are the most about him, like on the album Everyone Who Disagrees with You is an Extremist, there's a song called Blocking the Light that is very specifically about that, about shielding him from the truth until I feel like he's ready. And I get so emotional. I can't record those songs without breaking down, you know? Yeah, no. And I was like, I'm not going to do it until that's dead. I'm going to record it if I can get through it. And you can hear me kind of choke and catch my breath and keep going. For him, when he hears that, what he hears more than the words is the emotion. And you can tell it kind of stresses him out to hear me that worked up. So until he's a little older and can really get the context, I feel like it's just a little bit too much too soon.
It obviously is too much. It's kind of too much for all of us. It's too much for me. Yeah, it is. It very much is. But that's the world that we live in, and we're not very far removed from being having our grade school kids hide under their desks for the nuclear bomb that is coming. So I mean, we've long been terrified by the potential for the end of the world as we know it, and we're probably closer today than we've ever been in the history of humanity, and it's shameful and terrifying. How about you play us a great song called Powerless?
Let's do it. This song, I'm so happy that it got the life that it's gotten to have, because I don't have a lot of really hopeful, positive ending note kind of songs. But this is one of those, because I do think at some point that feeling of powerlessness leads to the anger or drive you need to finally get up and get pissed and get heard, you know.
And it's a really visceral song too, right? I mean, it starts off with the anger that we have for feeling powerless. And then it sums up with the question of whether we are powerless or not. So Jesse Jett from the album called The Grift, this is Powerless. All right.
They'll gladly pay you by the hour for a minute or so you can sign off on the towers where they'll piss on your home. And if you feel like you're just powerless to answer them no, it's 'cause you are. They'll gladly pay you by the hour for a minute or so you can sign off on the towers where they'll piss on your home. And if you feel like you're just powerless to answer them no, it's 'cause you are. It's 'cause you are. They'll gladly stagnate a living wage, snap the chains and bury it. Labor slaves in rusty cages dragged behind a chariot that's led by Mr. Racial Jungle, Joseph R. Iscariot, fighting over scraps as they barrage us all with variants and BuzzFeed clickbait straight until we're paralyzed, trying to distract us from the concentration camps that Joe and swore he'd close but only chose to amplify, where they got 50-something kids in cages made for 5 to occupy. And no, she hasn't seen the camps, but Harris swears they're paradise. Then she tells us the facilities are safe, and that right down to the women, they are regularly sterilized. Then she throws her head back and she proceeds to laugh, that sort of heartless cackle you'd expect from someone working steadfastly on behalf of the virus and a Congress full of parasites. And where was I? See, I was busy cashing every blue check, demonstrating plainly all the narratives expected from the verified. I was busy breeding verbal leeches by the terabyte. I trained them to exsanguinate the wealthy while they sleep at night, bleed the oil barons dry and barren, say they showed us how to share and now we share alike. Tell them I contracted rabies from a feral mite, and now I'm just another species losing sleep to noise pollution and these glaring lights, forced to change its habits and adapt to just survive. Well, now it's safe to say that some of us are thriving in the moment, throwing shit on presidential homes beneath the Paris skies. So if you feel like you're just powerless, I guess you bought the lie. But I can tell they're petrified of our collective might, 'cause I can hear those gentrifiers weeping at the sight of our collective rights. And I only can imagine the intensifying fear of knowing revolution's near. And all that's left to do is simply wallow in the thick anticipation of a rabid bite. And baby, one day you can ask your leaders just what that was like before you grab a slice. See, if you think you're powerless, allow me now to change your mind. Honey, if you think you're powerless, allow me now to change your mind. You see, they'll pay you hourly, tax them each apart, and build a shining tower out of loopholes and cards, and tell you that you're powerless to keep you in the dark, because you aren't. Because we aren't. You see, they'll pay you hourly, tax them each apart, and make you build a shining tower out of loopholes and cards, where they'll tell you that you're powerless to keep you in the dark, because you aren't. Because we aren't. And that's powerless.
I'm going to clap on behalf of the audience.
Thank you, man. Seriously, thank you.
For a fact they're clapping with you. Thank you, Jesse. That was amazing.
Thank you.
That's truly inspired, and it's such a graphic description of towers towering over residential homes, while the trickle-down economics falls on the roofs.
Yep.
And so, the trickle-down economics has always been piss, and it's piss now.
It's so funny. Every time I do that song, it's hard not to laugh trying to sing the word piss that gently and pretty.
Right.
I have to pretend it's not the word piss, or I'll just start giggling like a 12-year-old. Like,
I know. When I raised my oldest son on music, and I had to explain to him that Frank Zappa was going to use a lot of words mommy couldn't hear.
Yep.
only Dad and Ryan could hear these words. But it was art. It was art, which is different than what you say at Grandma and Grandpa's house. Gotcha? So,
Oh, that's hilarious.
Well, hey, to this day, he's like you, a fabulous musician and songwriter. So that's a good thing.
Thank you.
So, Jesse, you sometimes write about your day job. You write about labor. You write about some of the frustrations of making ends meet. You're, I don't know that you're a super young guy. You're a hell of a lot younger than me, and you've got a 7-year-old kid. You've got a wife. How are you making ends meet these days? And what kind of challenges does your I mean, one of the things I love about you is that you're a blue collar guy driving a forklift and then writing protest songs. And so when that forklift's going to come in really useful during the protest, I'm going to party with you and the forklift. That's a different story. So, tell us about the day-to-day work of being a dad and a breadwinner, along with your wife, of supporting your son.
I mean,
I want to hear it, man.
Boy, making ends meet, if there's one positive to riding so close to the poverty line, is that I never feel like I'm speaking outside of my own experience when I'm writing this stuff. There's no level of like imposter syndrome when you're talking about that fear of being so close to every losing everything. I mean, we are lucky to have a little money in the bank, but it's one of those things where you look at what you got in the bank, you're like, Christ, I hope nothing happens to the car. It's just one of those, like, most people, you are one emergency, maybe two away from being cleaned out. And every time you get a little bit of headway, or feel like you're doing well, it's you're not saving. My job a couple times sent some people in to talk to us about like finances, sending a financial advisor. And I was like, not to speak out of turn here, but the problem isn't that we have all of this disposable income and we just don't know what to do with it. We make less than $20 an hour. What the fuck do you think we're going to do? So,
yeah, I bet you're a real problem in the office.
I know. I try to be. It's tough because there are times where I don't want to be a total hypocrite. I don't want to just go Eddie Haskell. And I have been the unnecessary voice of reason more times than I'm sure they would have liked. But there are times where I've said, like, hey, if all you can do is a pizza party, maybe don't. Maybe it's more of a slap in the face. Hey, those cookies, you're bringing them with a smiley face. It's giving the opposite message here, like things like that.
Unfortunately, Dilbert creator Scott Adams turned out to be a dipshit fascist. But besides that, besides that fact, Dilbert had a little part to play in our culture. And,
for sure.
It did show the absurd side of the corporate offices. I remember in my corporate career where the executives would have a conference call by webcam from the same building. That was always heartwarming.
Yep.
To me.
That happens. I'll go in to get coffee. And I'll hear three different people in their offices with the door shut, and I can hear the echo of one another's conversation. So I know they're all talking to each other.
Their doors are locked. They're not getting in either. Yeah. So I mean, there's just bizarre stuff like that is so far away. I mean, it's like your 7-year-old son, right? It takes only a pure thought that's uncorrupted to clearly understand it makes no sense.
And
right?
one thing I love,
civil rights and human rights. That's what I love about it. It's like people are born with this basic knowledge of rights because they're human themselves, right? I mean, we know that it hurts if we touch something hot, then we know it's going to hurt if somebody else touches something hot. We know that we bleed if we touch something sharp. We know if we put something sharp, somebody else is going to hurt somebody else. So, exactly. I mean, there is an intuitive feedback system built into our bodies and our cultures. Yeah. But I think that one of the tragic parts about technology today and artificial intelligence that steals our consciousness in particular is that we lose those senses. We lose that ability to understand the very most basic elements of being and existing and living in the present moment, because the rest of it's just an illusion at best.
Yep. And it's so true. I mean, my son is, he's in kindergarten, and obviously they're not covering any of these kind of issues yet. And I'm going to beat them to it. But the first time we're in West Michigan, and we were in Grand Rapids once, and there was a little flat span of concrete going up these steps, and it had all these sharp bumps on it. And he was like, what are those spikes? I was like, that's anti-homeless architecture, honey. And I'm like explaining to him, you know, why we have that. And it's so hard to wrap your brain around. Like, if these people are already, they don't have a home, why would you do something to try to make life worse for them? Like, that's the most absurd alien concept to wrap your brain around, you know?
That's so tired and hungry. People can't sleep at night.
Exactly.
That's so we can torture humans.
Yep.
That's what it's for.
You know,
like, what?
When they're that young, there's all of those layers of bullshit excuses as to why that has to be, that makes us accept that. Hasn't been caked on him yet, you know. Utah Phillips said it really well. He said, you know, when we give our kids up to public school builds in all these little wires and levers and buttons. And as soon as you're out in the workforce, they can pull those buttons and push those levers. They can do all that shit through media and elicit whatever response they want for or against whatever they're doing. It's already hardwired in you. And they just go, oh, here's why it's okay that we're sending cluster bombs. And you go, oh, it's actually okay that we're sending cluster bombs. Like, you just stormtrooper wipe them and just like fucking Jedi mind trick. Hey, this is actually fine. You go, oh, okay.
You have to, it's new math. If half the cluster bombs are defective, then how many cluster bombs are you actually sending?
It's Common Core, right? Isn't that what's Common Core?
I don't know. Yeah, it's a new math. It's a new math. You have to extend it to product life cycle and supply chain now.
I do and don't want to actually flesh out the whole equation for that.
Right. Yeah. No, we could do it. We could do it on paper. What song are you going to play us next, Jesse?
Ooh, I'm thinking deep hop culture.
Okay.
This is gosh, I love this song. This is one of those that as soon as I first played it acoustic, I'm like I already enjoyed the song a lot, writing and recording it. I did a few little vocal things musically in the song to kind of give it some little extra background vocals that I usually don't do and stuff. And I feel like the song is really a lot better off for it. So, ooh, there's a good album title for you, Common Core War Crimes. With Professor Kissinger.
Still with us.
God damn, how is that?
Old friends. Old friends, like the Simon Garfunkel song.
Right.
Take it away.
Okay,
Jesse.
so this is off of the album Everyone Who Disagrees With You Is an Extremist. This is called Deep Hop Culture.
I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days, but still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? You safe? I guess this isn't such an awful place. Is that what you want me to say? You prove it's possible to sleep for days and still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make, but God, it's so hard to save. And when they told you everything was safe, were you safe? Oh, were you safe? Because you're fresh off the mess, the brand new cancerous growth, who has come here to vie for your vote. Come here to cry at the camps and to mourn at the shore for the bodies that float by the wreck of an immigrant boat. Then it's back to their luxury home, couple security booths and a moat, couple cigars, little escargot, little booze and a soak. They just breathe in the steam and the smoke. They got pink salt lavender, candles are low. Shit, when you do what you do, gotta lighten the load. And they got a life of their own, that's a sight to behold. It's a lot to control, to decipher the code or to siphon the soul. See, the cost of a good night's sleep for the working elite is a bargain, no matter the toll. And it's worth any wager, and that comes straight from the mouth of the means to the goal that will swallow us whole. It's ripe for the picking if you don't mind mold, and you know I don't. Maybe we're pleasantly prone, maybe we're taking a licking, compliantly ticking and ticking and ticking, but never explode. See, I don't deliver the prettiest image, but damn if it isn't an accurate vision of a natural fission of rage at the system and abject heartbreak, patiently waiting for any who will listen. That little blue bird who is watching your words is a federal carrier pigeon. That's a Langley first. It's a patient observer who hears what it wants and is trained for the worse. Oh, you got nothing to hide? Well, they'll be the ones to decide that after they root through your purse, after they read all your texts, after they raid your apartment and confiscate all of its contents, conjure up evidence out of the air on a wing and a prayer and malicious intelligence nonsense. Where any presumption of innocence long since gone, right along with your comfort and constance. See, historically first we will come for the communists. So why in the fuck would I say I'm a communist? Well, it might be I love my community more than the monsters of opulence who are holding us hostage, who are vomiting promises. Might be I'm all done seeing our populace being disarmed in the guise of an armistice. Might be I'm all done watching the populace, watching a woman collapse on the floor who will rise no more. She's wheeled out the door and you're next in line for the pharmacist. See if you can get me to vote, it's a hard no confidence. But part of the charm of deception is politics wearing the mask of incompetence. It's all in the art of austerity, darling, it's all in the slide of the providence. Until home is as wide as your cubicle height and it's only as deep as the coffin is. Maybe I'm miles away from impatience, aching to break off the head of the snake where the capital lust, reptile brain and the margin of profit is. Like off with his. Like off with his. Guess this isn't such an awful place. That what you want me to say. You prove it's possible to sleep for days and to still think you're right here awake. The cost of living isn't much to make. God, it's so hard to save when they told you everything was safe. You say.
Wow, Jesse, great stuff, man.
Thank you.
Excellent. That's wonderful. Yeah, I mean, this is intense stuff. Do you get angry? I mean, so I mean,
oh, yeah.
Okay, so hold on. So when you watch a great singer sing, you could tell like they're living the lyrics, right? They're not singing. Mm-hmm. It's very, very different than karaoke, right?
For sure.
The difference is like this mental process behind it. So you're talking about stuff like if I read some of my stuff that is like your stuff, I get pissed off.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
So what kind of emotions are you going through when you do this stuff? I mean, it must be cathartic, I guess.
It's for sure. You know, and it's funny you said that. When I first started doing this, and I wasn't doing a lot of shows. I had done a couple of interviews here and there, got to come on and perform one piece, you know. It was super cathartic to get to go and record it. The recording process, you know, getting that out was always super satisfying. The first time I sat down and did like a whole stream, playing 10 songs, 11 songs, reading a whole record, it's beyond heavy. It's like I mean, again, the lyrics haven't lost their potency for me. If anything, unfortunately, it's usually a little bit more accurate after about a year. I'm like, shit, that's still going on. That's even worse, you know? So the connection is still just as strong, if not stronger. Doing an hour of this music feels like you were just in some sort of like therapy counseling. Like it is heavy. It feels like you've been ranting and, you know, going through some really heavy emotions for a while. Like,
but you're not an angry guy. Like, you're one of the more friendly, affable, like easygoing guy. I bet you're a wonderful, fun dad and husband. I mean, so you're
Well,
not an
thank you.
angry guy. How do you keep your positive side, and maybe your sense of humor with facing all this darkness?
I think because I have this. If I didn't have somewhere I could put this down, and so many people that listened to it and connected with me on that, then I would feel like I was in my own weird little bubble, and no one got what I saw.
Yeah. So cynic girl made a comment that I'm thinking as well. I mean, she said it's prophetic, and you seem to have a song or a piece for every issue. It certainly reminds me of how I see my writing as well. That I'm just consumed by it. You're an activist, right? These are protest songs. I mean, at the end of the day, you're kind of you're a musician, but I mean, your message is even before your music, right?
Absolutely.
Nobody's going to come to hear you play guitar because they're, they love
for sure.
guitar,
And for a long time,
right?
that's what I was. I was just singer, and it was all about showcasing my voice and highs and my range and all that. And it's fun, but it's such a different experience from having someone come up and say, "Hey, you sang that song beautifully," that I have known my whole life, and it is what it is. Or when someone connects with me on this, and I've said before, like I have, Twitter follower count now, so many of them are bots, but I have a really strong, close group of people that have supported my music and stuck with me through a lot, and it is worth more than 20 times that number of people supporting music that I didn't have this connection to. If I was writing the same kind of songs I was writing, in 2015, I liked them. They were fun songs, but I was just writing singer-songwriter stuff, just music, I want everyone to like it and enjoy it and sing it. And now it's way more fun to try to take something like Powerless, for instance, where I really wanted to have a song that, the melody was a considerable thought. I wanted something that would get stuck in people's heads, but the chorus only really happens in the beginning. So if you want it again, motherfucker, you got to start the song over, I've really tried a little more recently on the last couple albums to think a bit more about trying to make it a little more approachable in spite of the lyrical content. You're not going to get someone who has no interest in what you're talking about to come hang out and listen. But people that might be on the fence, if you can catch them with a little melody or a little beat that they're intrigued by, I like the idea of trying to use a little bit of pop sensibilities to lure people and bait them a bit more. But it is a very conscious decision of, do you want to make music that will get streams, or do you want to make music that people will bring up the lyrics and sit and read the lyrics and like see a line and be like, I want that on a fucking sign as I'm standing outside a bank that's on fire. Like that's my kind of people.
What have your live shows been like, and where have you been able to do live shows? And
so far, every place I've gotten to play this music live has been at a protest, or I did one of the CPI event in Chicago, and I actually got to perform the piece I wrote about Tara Reid, like with her in the audience, and I only cried once, so that was a win in my book.
Right.
But it's been interesting. There's a really popular open mic in town, and a couple years ago, I popped in and I was like, I'm gonna go spring a few of these songs on people that don't know what they're in for, and I was really blown away by what a positive response I got from people. Even people, there were a couple guys that I saw giving me the look, and I'm like, oh, that guy's gonna want to have words afterwards. They came up and shook my hand. I'm like, that's the shit I scream at my TV, Like, people are a little more fed up than I gave them credit for. And I said in the beginning when I came up to the stage, I said, my name is Jesse Jett. I am not here to represent any political party or any politician. I want you to know that you deserve much, much better, and there's no reason you shouldn't have it. And then I played my stuff,
Right.
because if you're talking about basic issues with people, it is just about as simple as when I'm talking to my son about it. It's as soon as you bring up a political party or a person, they have some reason to get inflamed, and then they start fighting, because that's what we've been trained to do. But if you just talk about how badly we're getting screwed in this country, people from all across the spectrum will agree with you, and you will be on board. And there's a reason they tell people that it's impolite to talk politics, because we don't figure that out. We don't compare notes and realize we've got a whole hell of a lot more in common.
Well, this is the old thing. They write about it a lot more now, but about workers not speaking about their salaries and compensation plans and everything. And so this was always the case, because they didn't want people to know that different people were being paid vastly different amounts for the same job, whether they be male and female, whether they be young and old, whether they be newer employees and older employees. It's a big thing. Like, you get some sucker that'll work for you for 20 years and you never give him raises, but you'll hire the new kid. You'll hire the new kid out of college at more than you're paying him, because that's the market. And so, it's so despicable when you look at it, where, it's just corporations again. It's like the gig economy. It's corporations playing one-on-one against every worker on the planet. Just working to destroy them from every angle. And, it's not hyperbole anymore. I think that's one of the things, maybe with your music, that I also see a little bit in common with my writing about full Dashclosure and about the gig economy, is that maybe a year ago people would say I had some conspiracy theories about it, or I was kind of pushing the edge of decorum in criticizing them. That's no longer the case, right? These guys are now, the jig is up, right? It's just organized crime. And I see the same thing with a lot of your songs and lyrics, that you're kind of talking about things that are in process of happening. And now here we are today. What's an example of a song that you've written just recently that kind of reflects the changes that you're seeing?
Ooh, that's a good question. Well, I had one of the pieces on the Grift, Ecosphere, made mention of Neuralink, Elon Musk's brain implant company, that they were undergoing, primate trials, and they were eyeing human trials. And I had talked about that. And just a couple of weeks ago, there was a big announcement that they were, human trials are underway now. And there are so many things that when I first started writing about them, especially the coming of spring, I wanted that to be kind of sci-fi, a little dystopian. Like, let's peek a little into the future and see what do I think Elon and Jeff will be doing, in 20 years. Nothing that I came up with felt like it wasn't already in progress. No matter how far I tried to reach, no matter how despicable of a humanity warping, blood sucking device they could come up with, it all felt like it's already in one of their notebooks. It's already been blueprinted. It's so whatever the worst thing I could conceive of, like, I'm sure someone's beat me to it, and they're like, well, shit, if it'll make money, why not? So there are some things that I write, and I have a little sense of like, betcha I'm calling this one early. And there are other lines I write, I'm like, Christ, I hope I'm wrong about this. Like, I really want to be wrong about the majority of my lyrics. I would love to be wrong about this stuff. Lately,
I think people often mistake writing, whether it be song lyrics or whether it be essays or commentary, they mistake the writer's words for the writer's desires and hopes and thoughts. Which is very, 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 very different things.
Very different.
Rarely. Well, first of all, what we really want and hope is not the concern of the world. It's our concern, right? So that wouldn't take us very far. But the seeing things for what they are, without a bias, is, that's really what we need to get to. And I love that about your music, that it's unvarnished, right? We're not trying to use, in fact, you kind of go to great lengths with your vocabulary, not to just use euphemisms, but to detail out sometimes in very harsh language what you're trying to say. What's the next song that you're going to play for us that's gonna rock our little world?
You led pretty well into that. This is this next song is off of Inauguration Gift, and this is Red Pilled. This was a piece about realizing that I was already a little too far down the rabbit hole to enjoy a lot of the things I used to enjoy the same. A lot of music and movies and shows, I start seeing the hidden ads. I start seeing the anti-Russia propaganda. I start seeing the, everything. And then realizing like, oh God, like you're too far gone. You've crossed that Rubicon a long time ago. You didn't notice there was not a sign, but you are here. And this was one of those songs that, this was very much written for Jesse. And if no one else liked it, I would have still been happy. And I've really been really touched with how much this song, there are an awful lot of people that were like, oh man, me too. Like,
Jesse is your little boy's name?
No, my little boy's name is Fox.
Oh, okay. You said it was written for, or did I mishear you?
Oh, yeah, I think you might have misheard that. Sorry.
Okay. Very good. Well, let's hear, this is going to be Red Pilled by Jesse Jett.
All right. There we go. I was trying to think. Did I say that? I did. Yes. Written just for Jesse. Like if I was the only one that gave a shit about the song, I would have been just fine with that.
Okay, got you. So, well, yeah, you had
my short-term memory is garbage, Jeff.
Okay, so you had me questioning my own sanity, but yeah, that's okay, man. Gaslight away.
I like to gaslight the host of shows that I'm on. It's my signature.
I didn't say anything. All right, I forgive you.
I think I liked it better being blind, when I couldn't read between the lines, couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. Thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. Both bleed us so dry. My favorite songs don't hit the same way. I'll get to the end of a 4-minute track, and I'm only looking back thinking, what did they actually say? So then I try to sit down with my wife and watch TV, but I just see propaganda elevating the police in the simplest of sitcom banter. Those tiny little altars full of offerings to corporate masters, in every well-planned wide pan shot of the name brand stocking up the pantry. Pull back, one long tracking shot out to the garage, to the logo on the Camry, to a nice tight shot of the Camry, close-up view of the Camry, slow pan up on the Camry, long slow zoom to the unmoving human who's up in the front with the tube pumping fumes to him straight from the back of the Camry. Ashamed he just could not provide for himself, let alone for his family. See, it's a blue pill mindset that spent 2020 making dance beats. I think I liked it better being blind when I couldn't read between the lines. I couldn't see the cracks in the structure that lay bare before me the whole time. And I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. Thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. Both bleed us so dry. See, ignorance is bliss, which explains why a lot of us are so fucking happy. Quick to take the trip for all its trappings. Never one to ask what's up, what's going on, or God forbid what's happening. A lot of us would strap into the ride and spit right in the eye of the guy whose job it is to strap your fastening. See, maybe we're all born with that capacity. Maybe each of us comes standard with humor, compassion, malice, and audacity. Cause some of us are blind to the system, but some see it fine and say this is how it has to be. Some of us can stare wide-eyed at a nationwide human catastrophe, only offering platitudes and recipes. And God, I wish that I could tell myself nothing's worth obsessing past my everyday necessities. I wish that I could cry fake news over anything that threatened me, tune out our abuses and consume a little levity. I wish that I could offer up my son a smoother destiny. Wish I had some better lessons for how best to answer questions on the things I've been perpetually questioning. But I'm too busy looking at our leaders, wondering what I might be missing from their messaging. I'm trying to find the reasoning to let 250,000 people meet an early reckoning. And even though I know the truth, it's hard to swallow something that's so literally sickening. Hope is ever dwindling, COVID ever beckoning. Winter slows your breathing, but your pulse is ever quickening. Even though I know the truth, it's hard to keep listening. See, I'm done with my epiphany. My innocence is blistering. I'd like to think I'd taste the earth before I'd ever kiss the ring. It's hard to speak the truth and harder still to keep listening. I think I liked it better being blind when I couldn't read between the lines. Couldn't see the path of destruction that lay bare before me the whole time. And I think I liked it better back when I suspended disbelief and swallowed pride. Thought I knew the difference in the red from the blue, but they both bleed us so dry. Both bleed us so dry.
And that's Red Pill.
I'm going to give you another. You have beautiful voice. You have beautiful voice, Jesse.
Thank you. Man. Seriously,
you know, for a spoken word artist, you can really sing like a bird, man.
Well, you know, comedy will always be my first love, Jeff. But
I do. I tell people I'm really a frustrated stand-up comic. I just write. Really. That's what else is there to do? What else is there to do besides comedy at this point?
Right.
That was a beautiful song. So what plans do you have? So I'm going to tell our friends on the stream here, we're going to be doing what's called a raid on Twitch, which means that we're going to just change the channel for you and take you right over to our friends at Echoplex Media. They like Jesse's stuff. I was sharing that with them, and great bunch of people. So we're just going to change that channel over by 7:00. So stick with us and you'll end up with the Plex and Dave and a good time for the rest of the evening. So before we do that, so Jesse, what's the plan for you? You're very prolific in putting out songs. You have are you going to be able to do some touring? What's the next step in your
I would
career?
love to. It'd be a matter of finding places that would have me enough in a row, you know. I'm close enough to Grand Rapids that I would like to look into trying to find some places there that would that would know what they're in for and still sign up. But my last project I put out was in March, and that was a spoken word collection primarily about the East Palestine, Ohio train derailment. That was called "And Then the Sky Slammed Shut," and I've been taking a little slower since then. I really wanted to take my time and put out another full music project that's like on par with The Grift in terms of like track listing. Mm-hmm. I've actually been writing quite a lot in the last couple days that kind of back in the upswing. So right now it's just the early, probably 3 or 4 pieces written, an awful lot of great samples that I'm grouping together for this one. But I'm hoping to have it done before the end of the year. I'm not giving myself too harsh of a deadline on it, but yeah.
I don't think the world pays either you or me enough to have harsh deadlines. That's one of the really good parts of independent media. Maybe the best part is your deadline. Screw you. I'll do when I want to.
And that's Cynic and Indy that does my show with me at Indie News Network. He mentioned, he was like, I made a playlist on Spotify of your stuff, and it's 8 hours long, so you can take your time. You've got stuff out. Like, it's not like you haven't been writing shit. So
that's right. Well, that's excellent. Are you able to? I think your main home is Bandcamp. Is that right?
Yeah, that's where all my stuff is available for free download. Obviously, you can name it.
And that's linked in the YouTube show notes. That's Bandcamp's linked in there.
And then it's on Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, pretty much anywhere. So,
but if people actually want you to make money, Bandcamp's the best one, right? If people would like artists to earn money.
And Bandcamp is the only place that has my my Nuclear Fallout 1950s doo-wop project. Which is a fun little 15-minute jaunt.
Wow!
I highly recommend.
How very Frank Zappa of you,
right? I highly recommend drinking some bourbon in your car and being your own barbershop quartet. It's super fun.
Check it out.
You do your highest first, and the more you drink, you do your deeper and deeper. So you're really sloppy for the dip 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 part. Then it's the Wild West, man. That's fun.
Excellent. That's excellent. That's excellent. And so you have, you also do your own kind of regular broadcasting on independent media. Why don't you tell people where they can find you if they would like to hear you sing and talk more?
I'm lucky enough to do a show with the Indie News Network, INN. Indy and I do a show usually every other Tuesday. We had some sickness and then a holiday kind of get in the way, but we will be doing this Tuesday night. Sometimes it's all songs of mine that kind of fit a theme. Sometimes it's weird random covers or kind of tribute nights.
Oh, I've logged in for those too. It's a good time. Like
we did some Dr. Seuss episodes, and those were well received. So Indy has a few stories that his kids love of Dr. Seuss that I'm going to read this next night. But it was only about a half a show's worth. And I was like, well, what can I pair with that? I was like, I have a Metallica cover I wanted to pull out. I'll learn 2 more Metallica songs and we'll split it 30-30. So Seuss-Tallica is this Tuesday night. three Dr. Seuss stories, 3 Metallica songs. It's going to be blessed.
Excellent. There's a McDonald's metal act too. I can't remember what that's called.
Is there? Oh, I need to find that.
Then there's what is there? Is it food metal? There's food metal.
Okay.
Yeah. If you look up food metal, you're going to learn something.
This is me taking a note that says food metal.
Food metal. Food metal. My friends at Echoplex Media turned me on to food metal.
Okay. Oh man, I'm there. I'm already watching it.
And also Karen metal. Mike, I've seen some of the Karen metal.
I've seen those. Those are fantastic.
Those are pretty good. Those are pretty good. So Jesse, I know because I have watched you. Let's see, I've seen you on the Indie Media Network, right?
Mm-hmm. Indie News Network, yep.
Indie News Network. I've seen you on Rockfin. I've seen you on YouTube, and I've seen you on...
We're on Rumble, Twitch.
Yeah, I've seen you on Twitch. So you're on all those things. People can find you. And you're on Twitter, right? Indie News.
That's right.
Network.
Yep, it's Get Indie News.
And you can just follow Jesse Jett at Jesse JESSE_Jett, JETT. And he'll turn you on to all those things. He'll send you actually personal responses to every comment you make on his music.
So my DMs are open.
He'll become your pen pal. Well, Jesse, thank you so much.
Oh man, thank you. Seriously,
I know I've been bugging you to do this for a year, or wanting you to do this for a year, because I knew people would enjoy this. Would you play us something out? We've got 12 minutes to Echoplex.
Oh, absolutely.
Would you do us one more song, and then I'm going to go ahead at the end of your song, and we're going to go ahead and rate our friends at Echoplex?
Okay, nice.
Right. So I'm going to say for everybody, this has been episode 19 of the Full Dashclosure Audiobook and Podcast with our wonderful guest, Jesse Jett. And Jesse's going to play us out tonight with one more song. What is it, Jesse?
Let's see.
He's only getting paid for 3 songs, so he hasn't thought of the 4th one yet.
You know what? Let's do I'm gonna do this is the first track off of my Nuclear Doo-Wop 50s album.
Oh wow. Nuclear Doo-Wop.
This is the album's called The Geiger Age. This song is called A Stroll Through the Ruins.
Right on. Thanks, Jesse. Thanks, everybody.
Provided radiation's low and the weather's good, we'll take a stroll through where there used to be a neighborhood. I host a clinic called The Finer Points of Settlerhood. Wish I could say it brings a crowd. Oh, baby doll, Doomsday went about as well as you said it would. And God, I tried to love the bomb and I never could. There's such a heavy bomb in the humid air, rotted wood. Wish I could clear the smoke and show you clouds. The meek will get the earth, though the earth will be long dead. The meek will gladly take what we can get. And when we meet the earth, if there's no earth to be found, well, we'll just join the poison in the ground. No, no, the poison in the ground. 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 No.
Thank you, Jesse
There you
Jett.
have it. Thank you much.